to understand the put-away strategy concept in EWM, and the purpose of this put-away strategy concept is to determine the destination bin. Now, it can be used to determine the destination bin in your inbound process or any of the other internal processes. So, what I'm going to cover right now is the operator has, let's say, identified a stock which is available in the pick phase, and it is available for sale. The operator has identified that there is seems to be physically some issue on the barcode of the product, or it seems to be visibly, some damage is there. So you want to move it out from your pick phase and you want to move it to your quality inspection area, depending upon how severe is the damage in the product. You probably want to move it to the block stock area or to quality inspection area. Now, the there are different factors which SAP has given to make it very flexible to determine, to give the various option to determine the destination bin. So now we are going to focus on two factor, which is one of the factor is warehouse process type. The other one is the destination stock type. So originally the stock type will be F2, which is unrestricted and it is available for sale. But we want to move it to quality inspection, and we want to move it to a bin which is linked to your inbound receiving area. Or so to say, it should not be available in your pickable storage location. Now, if you see, these are the three strategies which I've defined, right? So 4010 is the WPT which I'm going to use, because the process I'm going to utilize here is the posting change process, wherein the warehouse request is created from the SAWM post, and then I'm going to convert that into a warehouse task, warehouse order. And based on the whichever stock type user has entered while creating that, initiating that process of warehouse request, whether it is going to be in quality or block stock, system should determine the relevant search sequence. Now, what is this search sequence, right? Ultimate objective for us is to get to a destination bin. Now, we can have a simple scenario wherein we just have we can have a very simple scenario wherein we have, let's say, one dedicated area for quality inspection and one area for block stock area. But if your warehouse happen to have multiple quality inspection area, and you want to create a sequence in which system should look for the destination bin, let's say quality inspection area, which will be represented as a storage type. So so if you have, let's say, 50 bins under this, and all the bins are occupied because you utilize the same area to do the quality inspection on your product which are received every day, you know as part of your business process. If all are full or occupied, then you want system to look for the available bin in this area, because within the physically also, right, within the warehouse, you have a limited amount of space, right? And you can run out of that space if the storage is not optimal, or it takes too long to carry out the quality inspection in within that area. Now, because of that reason, so you have, or it could be, a scenario that you have a quality inspection area on first floor, and then second floor, etc. So depending upon how does your warehouse layout looks like, you must have defined the storage type. Now, the objective of the search sequence is that you can define, and the sequence or the priority in which the storage type should be determined. One system will determine the storage type depending upon the put away strategy. For that, system can determine, empty bin, or if you have allowed mixed storage, or if it is bulk storage, or it's just a general area, right? So using the factor which I said earlier, we are going to focus on process type and the stock type. We can influence, or we can create a variance wherein for block stock we are determining a different storage type, versus if it is quality we can determine a different storage type. Now, this is, like, I'm going in the reverse order in terms of the configuration. So if you have defined, so first step would be to define this sequence, and then the second step would be to assign the storage type within that sequence, right? Because you would want the product to be moved to a blocked area, versus you want to move when it is going into the quality inspection, you want it to be moved to a different area physically in the warehouse. So which means that you must have defined a search sequence somewhere, and then you must have done this step, right? So I will show those steps later on. But as you can see that there are different columns which SAP has given. Now, based on the data you will enter, you can influence the search. Now, you can see that the so the WPT is also mentioned without any stock type, which means that if I don't wish to influence the search procedure in the put-away strategy, I don't want to use a stock type as an influencing factor. So irrespective of fact whether it is moving to block stock, quality stock, it should always move over here. As soon as long as I'm using 4010, and it even doesn't matter whether the stock moves to the inbound receiving storage location, or it goes to the outbound store area. Now, within this sequence, whichever storage type you have assigned, system, without considering stock type as a governing factor, system will consider this storage search sequence, and whatever storage type you have assigned, system will move consider the destination bin within that. Now, how does system determines and understand which factor to consider here, right? So we will see that in a bit, but what is, because system cannot take a decision on its own, right? So now you're giving multiple choice to the system here. So you are saying, on the one hand, you are saying we don't want to consider stock type as influencing factor. On the other hand, you have defined based on the stock type as far as this WPT goes. So what is that decision? Where is the decision tree? So if we look at it, and this topic and this function, this is how EWM has used it, in various area, whether it is your staging bin, door determination, or your stock removal strategies as well. So if you see that this is the configuration node wherein we are suggesting that we want to give preference to the process type plus the stock type. So that is the first preference, which means that if you have defined a stock put away strategy based on your WPT as well as your stock type, system will determine a search sequence. If you would not have defined it, if I'll delete it and we'll look at it, different possibility and how it reacts. If system fails to find any suitable combination here in this configuration node, it will move on to next one. So it will go to the next one. So we'll see now the first combination we have given the priority to, and we can switch the priority as well. So what I mean to say is that you can make it higher priority, and this the first one can go on the lower priority, or you can simply untick the checkbox and use it. So the first priority we have given to the process type and stock type. So here is one of the example wherein I'm moving the stock from F2 to quality inspection. And where do we get to see the quality, whether it is moving to quality or block stock? We'll see that. Now, if you click here, so if you read the, if you have activated the log, there is a transaction code SAWM act log. If you activated the log, then uh, for the warehouse task creation, then you can get to see the details. So if you click here, so system has used the sequence number 0. What does this mean? System is able to utilize. So we are saying to the system that based on the WPT and the stock type, try to determine the search sequence. And in the log, we can see that system is successfully considered that, and it has found it. Now, which information system is passing into the configuration to retrieve the sequences? We can, by clicking here, you can see that. So if we look at it, by clicking that, system will also show the details, right? So this is the warehouse number it is passing into this, the search sequence configuration node, and then WPT, and then you can see quality inspection as a stock type. So somewhere we must have entered quality inspection as a destination stock type. That I'll show you in a bit. But the important part here is the factor is that we have informed into the system that consider the WPT and the stock type to determine the search sequence. If you have defined one, if you have not defined one, then system should go for the next one in the sequence, like which factors to be considered to determine the storage type search sequence. So if you look at here for WPT 4010 Q3, this is the one we have defined. Even though this entry exists here, right? System has not considered it. Now what we are going to do is we are going to change the, so this table is the key here. That is the most important point. No matter if you have defined everything in the other configuration node, but if you miss to do this step, the access sequence, it won't work. So let's say now what we will do is we will say don't consider stock type as a factor. Just consider the process type and determine the search sequence. So we have not changed anything in terms of this node or this configuration, right? It is still the same. But now we are we have informed the system that do not consider stock type as a factor. Just use WPT. Make sure you refresh the screen after doing the change. Otherwise, you won't get to see the impact of the changes which we have done. Now you can still see the sequence number 0 is used because now we have given higher priority to just the process type indicator. And the stock type, we have informed the system that do not use, consider this as a factor. So you can see that system has determined now sequence 3. And if you click here, you can see what is the information, which piece of information is being passed on to behind the scene to determine the value. So you can see that now stock type is what we are sending as blank. It does not mean that we have modified the warehouse request and the stock type destination stock type is blank. What it means is that we do not want system to consider it. The data is still same, right? And we are able to see the impact of changing the access sequence. Now, where do I get to see what is the destination stock type? You can see it in this particular scenario because we are changing the characteristics of the product. So you can see that the source is F2 and destination is Q3. Now what we are going to do over here, we will remove the checkbox and let's see what happens now. Or we can, let's say, delete the entries altogether. So all we are doing is we are manipulating the data in this screen, and based on this, you can see the impact. The search sequence or the strategies sequence of the storage type, it is not changed, right? Nothing has changed here. Nothing has changed in the data as well. It is still the same data. So let's click on create. And you can see right now system has failed to identify any put away strategies. So you can see how important it is and how crucial it is to maintain the values in this particular node. So they generally we go with the generic to specific when we maintain the data, but depending upon your warehouse or business process, you can define accordingly. In ECC world, in warehouse management, it was derived based on put away control indicator, which used to get assigned in the material master. But SAP has enhanced further in EWM. It has made it very flexible, so you can use any combination as we saw earlier. Now let's backtrack. So let's now backtrack and see what is the navigation path to define this. Since we are talking about the put away, we will have to come in the good receipt, right? Then you come to the strategies. Then define the search sequence indicator. So within this, I mean, it's a descriptive information. You will define the indicator and it's not going to be assigned in the material master anywhere. So you will define in the configuration. It's just a keyword. There are no details which are entered inside it. Now in the next node, you will define the sequence of determination of the storage type. So if you come here, this node, so you can see that in my example, so we can have not defined any storage types. So SEQ1, and then you can define, you can choose like which storage type should be considered first when it comes to determination of the bin. So first I'm saying look for the bin in 9010 and then look for the bin in 9030. Now ideally these are my doors and the staging area storage type. I mean the example we took is for quality inspection. So you would probably assign a storage type which is dedicated for quality inspection if you happen to have one. So this is just an example, but you can choose the relevant storage type. And you can also assign the sequence here, right? So this is the first one, and if you happen to have SEQ2, then you can define another one. Like, sorry. So if I take, so this will become the second one in the sequence. And you can define multiple storage type in the sequence depending upon how it is. There is a concept of storage type group, but we are not using it. It's used in kind of stringent FIFO, so that's a separate topic. Now, if you want to, maintain certain indicators in the material master and you want to use it, that also as a factor, then you have to create the put away control indicator. Again, if you look at this particular node, their put away control indicator is one of the factor. You create it and maintain in the material master, and based on that, you can choose that even though the WPT is same, but if the put away control indicator is different, you can derive a different search sequence. It's just one of the lever SAP has given. And then of course you have to use the maintain the relevant checkbox in the access sequence, which we have seen earlier. So you can choose you can choose to maintain the put away control indicator, and then you can maintain. So suppose you want to there are products which come on bulk, right? You pallets, you will create an indicator for the relevant storage type maintained in this excuse me, material master. Based on that, you can determine a different storage type. So this is just one of the lever. If you understand, if you have understood the concept of the stock type, you can certainly use the indicators. But it is just to give you a view, so you can go and click over here. So you can see that storage type search sequence is also mentioned here. So do we assign it? So it won't influence the put away strategies. So you don't have to assign it here. It won't influence it. Now the question is why it is given. That's a separate topic altogether. So you just create a put away control indicator, come to this particular node, go to, and it's not mandatory. Like in the example which I took, it was not necessary at all to maintain it. But if I want to influence it, so in this example, so the data will still have the quality as a stock type destination. The same WPT will be there, but I will maintain that indicator in the material master, and what advantage it will give me, you can see that. So if I maintain, I can choose to derive a different storage type. So it is giving you variation, right? SAP has made it flexible, so it's giving you more option to determine a different search sequence based on. But if you want to use material master as a or product master as one of the influencing factor, because you know these products are stored in, let's say, second floor, so you created an indicator, and then furthermore you can maintain this well data, and then it will derive a different storage type. This is just an example, right? And where do we maintain it? Once you have done this, it is important that you maintain the access sequence, so that system considers, unless you maintain, mark the checkbox in the access sequence, system is not going to consider this as a factor. I think I've stressed enough on the usage of access sequence. So you can choose to create another one. right? And you can give this as a highest priority. How do you do that? Either you can, manipulate the checkbox, or you can just simply move it further. So this gets the highest priority. So if you happen to have a product master with the put away control indicator, and if you have maintained these strategies and the sequence, system will determine PUT or PUTW as a such sequence, and whatever the storage type maintained over there, then system will determine within that. Now there are further uh, filter criteria based on which system will or can skip a storage type. If you have maintained the HU type and bin type combination, you're moving a pallet, but the first storage type in the sequence only stores boxes. So system will ignore it because there won't be any combination of the pallet HU type and the bin type, right? So it will skip those. But if you do not have that kind of combination maintained and you allow all sort of material in any storage type, so as long as the capacity bin capacity is available and the bins are available, system will determine that. So this is pretty much about it.